Hi friends, welcome back to our series on cults. Today we look at Mormonism, also known as the Church of the Latter-day Saints. And we will look at the origin, history, key doctrines, and how to defend biblical Christianity against this very seductive, deceptive, and unbiblical cultic group. We need to know that this is very relevant as this cult is fast growing in many places around the world, also making inroads in India with first generation converts, especially from Christian backgrounds. There are 17 million adherents all over the globe. 67,000 plus missionaries evangelize and proselytize people into their fold, claiming to have a special revelation and marking all other Christian groups as apostates. So, how did it all begin? Joseph Smith, at the age of 14, claimed to have his first vision where God the Father and Jesus visited him and told him that all the existing churches were corrupt and false and he needed to restore Christianity. In 1823, claimed an angel called Moroni appeared to him and revealed the golden plates buried in a hill near his home, which later came to be the Book of Mormons, published in 1830. Joseph made this cult official by establishing the Church of Christ, LDS, on April 6, 1830 in New York. His movement kept moving all over the United States to Illinois, Missouri, and finally found its home at Salt Lake City, Utah. Speaking about its beliefs, we need to know some key beliefs of Mormonism. First, what do Mormons believe about scripture or divine authority? They believe that the revelations of Joseph Smith are an ongoing and living prophetic voice that overrides prior scriptures, including the Bible. Bible is insufficient, though Bible is canonical. Three other texts are equal or even superior, and Bible is true as far as it is translated correctly. And Joseph Smith even brought out his own translation of the Bible to correct, redact, delete, and even add to the scripture to fit his own whims and fancies, which were his own creations and revelations. The Book of Mormons, Doctrines and Covenants, the Pearl of Great Price, and the Bible form the Mormon canon. The Bible, though it is scripture, is always superseded by these three other texts, and they are the definitive and ultimate voice of truth and doctrine as far as Mormonism is concerned. Moving forward, Mormons have a peculiar belief about mankind, humanity. Latter-day Saints believe that all men and women ever to be born, including Jesus Christ, pre-existed, lived with God as little spirit children before this life. So it's a strange teaching compared to any other Christian group. We are spirit beings before we are born, and spirit beings of God the Father and God the Mother. Coming to the question of who God is, Mormons believe that God was once a man like us, and the popular Mormon couplet goes like this: as man now is, God once was, as God now is, man may be. So, before God became God, God was like humans, lived in a planet globe, and God ascended, mastered, and became a higher spirit being and became God, Elohim, and he had his God, and he later became God, and we also have the potential of achieving this deity and godhood. So he progressed into being God. Therefore you and I can also become God. That is the understanding of God in Mormonism. It's so tragic and unbiblical. Next, we need to be very sure about what Mormons believe about Jesus. Three things that Mormons believe about Jesus. One, they believe that Jesus is a created being. Yes, a spirit child of God the Father, but a created being. who has a beginning. Second, they believe that Jesus is the elder brother or spirit brother of Lucifer. Finally, they believe that Jesus was a married man. None of these pictures are consistent with the biblical view of God. Moving ahead, what do Mormons believe about the Trinity? Like most Christians, Mormons believe that Jesus is the Son of God and the creator of the world. However, there are many worlds, multiverse in the Mormon understanding. They hold the unique belief that God the Father and Jesus Christ are distinct beings. Though their statement of faith will confuse us and make us think that they are Trinitarian, they believe that each is a distinct being with flesh and bones and a body. Bible says God is spirit, but Mormon says the God the Father and even God the Son are two different fleshly beings, two different persons, entirely distinct, entirely separate, and completely different, and two different gods. So, their belief in Trinity is actually tritheism and unbiblical. Also, we must know that Mormons understand salvation as man's doing, and they believe that salvation is not guaranteed. We do the best we can do to progress into godhood. The same way God became the God of planet Earth, we have the potential of becoming gods of other planets. And through our works and good deeds and merits and righteousness, we become like God. That is another key, glaring deception and error propagated by Mormonism. They believe in work salvation. Let me sum up. The beliefs of Mormons are heretical and downright unbiblical, and we cannot have any company or fellowship in doctrine or in faith with the Mormons. How do we defend the Christian faith against this brand of Mormonism? Here we must understand Mormon apologists cannot defend their faith beyond a point because of some very glaring and inconsistent explanations and revelations which really make them indefensible against the biblical truth. Let me just put forth some key Mormon facts which cannot be sustained under the light of biblical and logical scrutiny. Number one, the Mormons' claim of Joseph Smith prophethood. How do you know that Joseph Smith is a prophet? Similar to Islam, Joseph Smith is a prophet because he himself claims that there is no secondary attestation or anybody else affirming or proving the prophethood other than the revelation which the self-made prophet himself is giving. Actually, Joseph Smith claims that Genesis 50:33, that is non-existent verse according to the true canon, but according to Joseph Smith's translation, Genesis 50:33 prophesies that Joseph the patriarch had said, there will come a man who will restore mankind, and that is Joseph Smith. So how do you know that Joseph Smith is a prophet? Because of the lost prophecy, that Joseph Smith himself made up. So, why do we believe that prophecy? Because Joseph Smith said so. Moving ahead. This false prophecy and self-made prophethood is a circular argument, and this affects everything that Joseph Smith and his revelations claim. Second, Joseph Smith made prophecies which proved to be false. Doctrines and Covenants, chapter 84, verse 5, claims that a house will be built for the glory of God in Missouri. And this very spot remains vacant even today, and this prophecy remains unfulfilled like many other prophecies of Joseph Smith. Also, a very clear error is the Book of Abraham, translated by Joseph Smith in 1835. This claims to be an amazing discovery which Joseph Smith got from a set of papyri, ancient manuscripts he bought from Egypt. And those manuscripts he claimed to have translated, and he calls them and he's written them down as the Book of Abraham. And now Egyptologists have really scanned those documents and come to know that those translations of Joseph Smith are fake and have nothing to do with the original papyri. Also, the gold plates from which Joseph Smith claims to have written the Book of Mormons has not been revealed or seen by anyone else, attested by some elders of his own, but their attestations have proved to be false. So these are some of the glaring inconsistencies and falsehoods of Mormonism. The Book of Mormons, its content and all its falsehood is beyond the purview of a short video like this. I'm not going much into the Book of Mormons and its foolish claims that the lost tribes of Israel went to America on a boat in 600 BC, that Jesus visited United States, descended from heaven and preached to a lost civilization, and all such big reveals that have nothing to do with history, nothing to do with scripture, and are a faulty, false foundation to this fake cult that has really polluted and corrupted millions all around the globe. In closing, I hope this short video has been an eye-opener and a concise explanation on Mormonism and the falsehood behind it, and has really empowered you to defend against this cult. Though there are a lot of things which we could cover, which cannot be covered in a short video, like the historical polygamy, the restored priesthood, the baptism for the dead, and all such falsehoods which are at the core of this cult. May God give us the grace to stand for biblical Christianity in this very wicked and perverse